Alright, what's up folks? Rich Van Tassel with you, giving you the recap of some of the games have gone final now for week 13 of the NFL season. We of course have some games that are finishing up as well. Baltimore with a 44-20 victory over the Detroit Lions. The Baltimore Ravens are up to 7-5. Detroit drops to 6-6. Matt Stafford, 24 of 29, 292 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was knocked out of this game. Jake Ruddock came in, went 3 for 5 for 24 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interceptions. Tion Green, the top rusher, 11 for 51, 4.6 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Theo Riddick, 9 of 21, 2.3, the other touchdown. The team 24 of 78, 3.3 yards per rush, and the 2 touchdowns. Marvin Jones Jr., 4 receptions, 90 yards. Golden Tate, 8 of 69. Kenny Galladay, 2 of 44. Theo Riddick, 5 of 41 receiving. Matt Stafford fumbled twice, lost one of them, recovered the other. No sacks, no interceptions. Zach Zenner, 2 kick returns, 42 yards. TJ Jones, 2 punt returns, 14 yards. Matt Prater missed his only field goal attempt. For the Baltimore Ravens, Joe Flacco, 23 of 36, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Alex Collins, 15 carries, 75 yards, 5 yards per rush, 2 touchdowns. Javorius Allen, 7 of 22, 3.1. The team 27 of 101, 3.7 yards per rush with the 2 touchdowns. That includes what I would assume is a kneel down by Flacco for -1 yard and Chris Moore 1 carry for -4. So those bring the numbers down a bit. You're right at about 4 if you take those runs off. Actually, a little over 4 if you take those off. So good enough in the running game. Mike Wallace, 5 receptions, 116 yards, that is. No touchdowns. Jeremy Maclin, 4 of 41. Chris Moore, 3 of 32. Benjamin Watson, 3 of 24, a touchdown. Patrick Richard had a 3-yard touchdown. Willie Henry, Maurice Kennedy recovered fumbles. Michael Camero fumbled. It was not lost. The team had 3 sacks. Matthew Judon, Eric Weddle, and Terrell Suggs still getting the job done. I said Terrell Suggs might be on the downslide. He has proved me otherwise this year. Eric Weddle returned an interception, 45 yards for a touchdown. Marlon Humphrey had the other interception. Chris Moore, 2 kick returns, 51 yards. Vince Melee, 1 kick return for 29 yards. Michael Campanero, 3 for 28 in the punts. That's 9.3 with the longest of 10, so good average. You'll take 9 yards of punt return each time. That's pretty good. Justin Tucker, 3 for 3 in his field goals. Detroit will have to see how serious the injury is to Matthew Stafford. At 6-6, like any other team that's 6-6, you had Green Bay who won. We'll go over them. Dallas won, of course, on Thursday. They probably have to go 10-6, and that still might not be good enough. Certainly, the hill becomes much more tough of a task if Matthew Stafford is out. Let's see if Tion Green can finally help that running game. For the Ravens, they got some downfield passing in this game. Their running game has really started to come along nicely with Alex Collins. If they continue with that downfield passing, you add the turnovers in that secondary, which is strong. This team can be dangerous moving forward. You had the Bills who lost, who will do right now. They drop behind Baltimore now into everyone else who's 6-6. We're playing right now 5-6, and now Baltimore is in control in the wild card race. Speaking of Buffalo, they lost 23-3 to the New England Patriots. Why I picked them to win this game is beyond me. Buffalo will not win these big games when you need them to. Tom Brady, 21 of 30, 258 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Deion Lewis, top rusher, 15 for 92, 6.1. Rex Burkhead, 12 of 78, 6.52 yards per rush. The team, 35 of 191, 5.5 yards per rush. Included 2 kneel downs by Brian Hoyer, so good running the ball for the New England Patriots. Rob Gronkowski, top receiver, 9 receptions, 147 yards. Danny Amendola, 2 of 34. James White, 4 of 32. Rex Burkhead, 3 of 25. No fumbles. The team had 4 sacks. All of them were split in some way. I don't know if guys had 3 split sacks like David Harris and Eric Lee. They had 1.5, how that worked out. Kyle Van Noy and Malcolm Brown both had a half sack. I don't know what the distribution was, but it comes to 4. Eric Lee had an interception. Rex Burkhead had a 17-yard kick return. Bernard Reedy an 11-yard punt return. Danny Amendola had a punt return, but for no yards. Steven Gostowski, 3 for 3 in his field goals. For the Buffalo Bills, Tyrod Taylor, 9 of 18, 65 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Terrible interception early on in this game. It was, I believe, the first drive, threw it inside the 5. Really set the tone that Buffalo struggled with the rest of the game. Nathan Peterman, 6 of 15. Tyrod Taylor was knocked out of this game. 50 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Joe Webb threw a pass. It was incomplete. Altogether between the three quarterbacks, 15 of 34, 85 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interceptions. That's why you lose a game 23-3. LaShawn McCoy, 15 carries, 93 yards, 6.2 per rush. Tyrod Taylor, 3 of 32. Joe Webb, 3 of 27. Tavares Cadet, 4 of 22. The team 26 of 183, 7 yards per rush. Buffalo can run the ball almost all the time. They're successful running, and yet they're still 6-6. Zay Jones, and this is why Zay Jones, top receiver, 2 of 22. Deontay Thompson, 2 of 21. Charles Clay, 3 of 20. No fumbles, 3 sacks. Shaq Lawson, Kyle Williams, and Adolphus Washington. Tre'Davious White had an interception. Brandon Tate, 3 kick returns, 68 yards, 22.7 average, the longest at 25, so pretty pedestrian. Stephen Hauschka made his only field goal attempt. New England, their defense is really starting to come on. Tom Brady, again, this was probably below his normal level of greatness. We just talk about the spikes he generally has. This would be kind of that dip-off, but they won the game 23-3. He was proficient enough, and they were running the ball well enough that they didn't need Tom Brady to do much in this game. For Buffalo, it's 6-6, still very much in the playoff chase, but this team has got to figure out how they're going to win these types of games, not get hammered the way they did, and come out with more urgency. And certainly it doesn't look like Tyrod Taylor will be available anytime in the near future, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. Green Bay 26-20 victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in overtime. I'm not sure how accurate this box score is. It has 26-20 up top, but 20-20 here. We're just going to go with this one. Green Bay is now 6-6. Tampa Bay drops to 4-8. Jameis Winston, 21 of 32, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Peyton Barber, 23 carries, 102 yards. Jameis Winston, 5 of 18. That's 4.4, 3.6. The team, 35 of 165, 4.7 yards per rush. Peyton Barber, 4 receptions, 41 yards. Cameron Brate, 2 of 39. He had the 2 touchdowns. Charles Sims, 2 of 35. Mike Evans, 2 of 33. Jameis Winston fumbled twice, lost 1, recovered 2. Evan Smith fumbled. It was not lost. 2 sacks, both by Will Clark. Justin Evans had an interception. No kick returns. Adam Humphries, 3 punt returns, 12 yards. Patrick Murray, 2 for 2 in his field goals. For the Packers, Brett Hundley, 13 of 22, 84 yards. No touchdowns, 1 interception. Jamal Williams, top rusher, 21 of 113, 5.4 per rush, 1 touchdown. Brett Hundley, 7 of 66, 9.4. Aaron Jones, 1 of 20. The other touchdown, 29. I believe Aaron Jones had the game winner in overtime. 29 of 199, 6.9 yards per rush, 2 touchdowns. So you don't need much from your quarterback when you run the ball like that. Devontae Adams, 4 of 42, receiving. Jordan Nelson, 5 of 17. Lance Kendricks, 1 of 11. Jamal Williams, 2 of 10. Dean Lowry recovered a fumble. The team had 7 sacks. Mike Daniels had half a sack. Clay Matthews had 2.5. Jake Ryan had 1. Kenny Clark 2. Dean Lowry the other. No interceptions. Trevor Davis 4 kick returns, 121 yards, 30.3 average. Very good with the longest of 33. So it's not like one big one carried that average. So a good return game for him. 1 punt return of 2 yards for Trevor Davis. Jermaine Whitehead, punt return for no yards. Mason Crosby 2 for 2 in his field goals. Like we just discussed before with Detroit, teams that are 6-6 basically have to win out. Green Bay does have a tiebreaker against the Cowboys, but the Cowboys probably won't be going to the playoffs. So you have to keep winning out. Looks like Aaron Rodgers could return at some time. We'll keep an eye on what happens with the Green Bay Packers moving forward. They got to at least win these games until Rodgers comes back to have any hope. For Tampa Bay, Jameis Winston didn't throw interceptions, but he had the fumbles. Look, they're 4-8. They're not going to the playoffs, but Jameis Winston moving forward with him, he's clearly going to be your guy for the foreseeable future. He was the number 1 overall pick, so they're going to have to figure out a way to limit his turnovers moving forward because he's a top overall quarterback. You need him to play better. Jacksonville 30-10 over Indianapolis. A nice win by the Jaguars to move to 8-4. Indianapolis drops to 3-9. Jacoby Brissett, 21 of 36, 174 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Frank Gore was the leading rusher, 13 carries, 61 yards, 4.7 yards per rush. I believe he might have passed LaDainian Tomlinson to get to 5th on the all-time leading rush mark. Frank Gore, look, the numbers aren't great this year, but certainly at the age of 34, they're effective enough. Marlon Mack, 6 of 40. Like, this is not just a guy hanging around. He's still doing a decent job. Marlon Mack, 6 for 46, rushing 7.7. Jacoby Brissett, 6 of 36. The team, 26 of 141, 5.4 yards per rush. T.Y. Hilton, 3 of 51, receiving 1 touchdown. Dante Moncrief, 5 of 37. Chester Rogers, 4 of 35. Frank Gore fumbled. It was recovered by him. Terrell Bassam had the only sack, no interceptions. Josh Ferguson, 3 kick returns, 52 yards, 17.3 average, longest of 20, not very good. Adam Vinatieri made his only field goal. For the Jaguars, Blake Bortles, 26 of 35, 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. You could probably say this was Blake Bortles' best game of his career. Or at least one of them. I can't think of any, but then again, I don't follow Blake Bortles that closely in the past. Brad Northam, the punter, completed a pass for 29 yards on a fake punt. Leonard Fournette, 20 of 57, 2.8 per rush, 1 touchdown. Blake Bortles, 3 of 27, 9 yards per rush. The team, 27 of 96, 3.6 yards per rush. Marquise Lee, top receiver, 7 of 86, 1 touchdown. D.D. Westbrook, 6 of 78. Keelan Cole, 3 of 49, a touchdown. Mercedes Lewis, 4 of 46. Blake Bortles fumbled, did recover it, so it wasn't a lost fumble. No turnovers by him. That fumble was in the red zone. He was able, or at least in scoring range. I don't know if it was officially in the red zone. That could be something that you take away from him being his best game of his career. The team had 4 sacks. Blair Brown had a half sack. Paul Posluszny, 1.5. Calais Campbell had a sack. And Malik Jackson, another sack. Jalen Ramsey, Tashawn Gibson, both had interceptions. Corey Grant, 2 kick returns, 46 yards, longest of 31, average of 23, okay. Josh Lambo, 3 for 3 in his field goals. There were no punt returns. So Jacksonville, it looks like Tennessee is going to get the win. That game's finishing up now. Still maybe something in doubt. But if Tennessee wins, they'll both be 8-4. Jacksonville had to get that bad loss they had behind them last week. They took advantage of it. They didn't let down against a bad Indianapolis team that's just a mess all over the place. Give them credit for that. And Blake Bortles playing very well. I'd like to see Leonard Fournette. He's kind of slipped a little bit. We got to see if he's hitting a rookie wall for the Indianapolis Colts. Bad year without Andrew Luck. The defense has holes. The offensive line has holes. There's just too many holes on this team at this point, and you're going to see a lot of changes moving forward between either Chuck Pagano being gone, if they move and change head coach or GM, we'll have to see. But you got a lot of things that have to be worked out in this case. I'm just going to check and see if I can get one more going here or we'll just wait till the other ones go final, and then we'll continue on in just a little bit with what we have. I don't see any other games that I've missed. Or we'll do this one just to get it out of the way. The 49ers beat the Chicago Bears 15-14. San Francisco improves to 2-10. Chicago drops to 3-9. Jimmy Garoppolo in his first start, 26 of 37, 293 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Carlos Hyde, 17 of 54, 3.2 yards per rush. Matt Breida, 12 of 45, 3.8. The team, 34 of 110, 3.2 yards per rush. Marquise Goodwin, top receiver, 8 of 99. Trent Taylor, 6 of 92. Garrett Selleck, 2 of 30. George Kittle, 2 of 20. Jimmy Garoppolo fumbled once and recovered it. 2 sacks. Cassius Marsh, Elvis Dumerville, no interceptions. Victor Bolden Jr., a 30-yard kick return. Trent Taylor, 3 punt returns, 21 yards. Robbie Gould, 5 for 5 in his field goals. For the Bears, Mitchell Trubisky. Now I'm going to start to worry a little bit about Trubisky. 12 of 15, 100. We'll talk about Trubisky at the end. 12 of 15, 102 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Jordan Howard, 13 carries, 38 yards, 2.9 per rush. Mitchell Trubisky, 4 of 19, 4.8, 19 of 62, 3.3 for the team. Tariq Cohen, 4 receptions, 39 yards. Kendall Wright, 2 of 25. Dontrell Inman, 2 of 21, a touchdown. Mitchell Trubisky, 2 fumbles, did not lose any, recovered both. 2 sacks. Lamar Houston and Christian Jones, an interception by Kyle Fuller. Tariq Cohen, 1 kick return, no yards. Tariq Cohen had 2 punt returns for 68 yards, which is a 34-yard average. However, he did have a 61-yard touchdown, so that, of course, is inflating the numbers. Cairo Santos did not attempt any field goals. We'll start with the 49ers in this one. Garoppolo getting the start. The numbers are pretty good. You saw some highlights of this game, the Red Zone channel and these things. At times, it looked, as you would expect, like Garoppolo wasn't sure where guys were supposed to be. He was definitely holding on to the ball for a little bit. Those are things you would expect and things that will be worked out, obviously, as he gets more comfortable in the offense. Certainly didn't do anything where you're like, oh my God, maybe, Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have it, and that was the New England system. No. It wasn't the case, as we said. It's just a situation he's got to learn and figure out. Hasn't gotten really any playing time, played a little bit last week, but those things will be learned, so certainly you just got to take that for what it's worth. Once it gets better, you would expect touchdowns instead of the field goals that they had. For the Bears, look, Mitchell Trubisky, as we said, he shows you at times flashes. He's a guy who didn't play much in college, but at this point of the season, I'd like to see a little more. I don't know if they're just calling the plays, bringing it, or making it very simple for him. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but this is a situation where they've got to get it together moving forward, because he has to show at least some progression in these final now 4 games of the season. All right, we'll be back in a little bit and finish up with the games that are going final right now for Week 13 of the 1 o'clock block. Be sure to stay tuned, and remember, we appreciate all subscriptions as well. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in a little bit.